That's great. I was a little late getting here, so I didn't get to watch the rehearsal. And Karen, I came in and I was getting wired up, and my cousin Daniel, I said, "Did Karen sing her song yet?" And he went, "Oh my God!" He just said it was so amazing. So I was like, I can't wait to hear it. Okay, so I just love that you put surrender and remember together, because it's really the whole purpose of what we do here at the Global Truth Center. Remembering who we are allows us to surrender all the things we're not. If you remember that you are God, that you are the very expression of God on this planet, walking, living as that consciousness, how can you be God and limited? How can you be God and even sick? How can you be God and anything other than that perfection? It's like Mother Teresa says, how can you love and do anything else simultaneously? You can't. So you either love only or you're kind of caught in this quagmire of a bunch of things. So this was kind of inspired by our surrender theme, which Barbara Shane created for us, which was a surrender with the kite. But the title of my talk today is Go Fly a Kite. So, and I want to bring something up. So, I just said Karen Mitchell and I created this center for years at the NoHo Arts Center and did such a beautiful job. And I have to say, Barbara Shane now certainly took up where Karen left off and has... because you don't know it, but at 6:45 this morning, I sent her all these slides and said, I'd like to use these slides today. Oh, and here's a movie I'd like to show too. And I just get a thing back, that's just a little text that goes, give me a minute. And pretty much that's what happened. So the title of my talk is Go Fly a Kite. So the reason for that is that every year, the practitioners of your center go on 2 retreats. They go away to fill themselves back up, replenish themselves, and bring themselves to a higher state of consciousness. Every spring, that retreat happens at Point Dune Beach. And we show up at 7 a.m. in the morning, Liza. 7 a.m. She was on time, almost. Yes, that's it. She was on time-ish. But we show up at 7 a.m. The first year we went, remember Reverend Nancy? We decided to go at 6 for sunrise, realizing the sun doesn't rise in the west. To which point most people said, why are we here at 6:15, which is sunrise? We went from dark to light. It was nothing. So we've moved it to 7 now. We arrive at 7, and we're there from 7 to 12:30-ish. And a lot goes on. Well, this year, thanks to it, now that these are run by Karen Oxrider and Nancy Berggren, and they consult me with what they want to do. They tell me what they want to do and give me an opportunity to say yes to them. But I believe it was Nancy who decided we would do something, and as soon as she said it, actually she read me a quote. I think you led me right into me saying, let's do this. Yeah. I'm so easily led. So she read me a quote, and I went, oh my God, you know what we should do? And she went, what? And so we flew kites. So you had 26 practitioners flying kites at Point Dune Beach yesterday. And it was quite a spiritual experience. And these are the people that were there yesterday. There they are. It's early in the morning, if you can see everybody. This, by the way, I believe this was taken afterwards. Karen came up with this exercise about everybody took a sponge to the ocean and took one of those flat sponges that expand and put it in the ocean and expanded, and it's all wet, and all the practitioners took it back to a bucket and put all of their water. So they took the ocean back into the drop and put it in the bucket, and then everyone had something they found on the beach that they put around the bucket to create a spiritual altar so that the entire ocean was in a drop. And then at the end of our round robin, where everybody said why they put something there, we took the drop back to the ocean. So it was just the roomy ocean in a drop. It's up here somewhere. There it is. There it is. So, right. So I want to show you. So when I got to the beach, first, Kevin, the first thing I will need is that one. Thank you. Vanna. So when I got to the beach, I was walking with Eric Overholter, down to the beach, and I saw this little piece of yellow sticking out. And I just reached down and pulled it out, and it was this dirty, sandy car, which was like a taxi. Well, it is a taxi because it says taxi. So I pulled it out, and it was just so cute, so I gave it to Eric. I said, here, this is for you. It's like the child in you can go play with the car. And then somehow it ended up back in my house. It was in a bag, and I remember Eric saying, is this your bag? I went, yes. And I took the bag, which had the car in it. So I've now really washed it and cleaned it, and now it goes back to you. So that was the first thing that happened on the beach. I'm doing this for a reason. Then we do a thing where we double up, we couple up. Reverend Nancy gives us quotes, and we couple up and all take a 45-minute walk with one other person. I always climb over the rocks to what they call the nude beach that no one's ever on. So it was not a nude beach, it was just a beautiful private beach. I was disappointed. So we climbed over the rocks. My partner ended up I turned to Liza, because we picked eggs, and it's just very random who you get. And I turned to her and I said, I'd love to get you. And she went, me too. And so I picked mine, and we got each other. So we got to climb over to the other side. Looking for the new beach. Of course, Liza and I were looking for the new beach. So we get there, and it was just a beautiful, and the dolphins were jumping, and the little otters, sea lions were polar bears were there. It was amazing. Oh wait, that was because what we did beforehand. No. So we're on the beach, and when we come back, I pick up Tiffany, who is up on the top of the rocks with her partner. So we climb down together, and all of a sudden she realized, because I said to her, I said, what did you get for the altar? And she went, oh my God, I forgot to get something for the altar. So we start looking for something, and I find this. Well, you're doing this perfect. That's exactly what I needed. So I said, oh, look, this looks like a beautiful rock, and it's a car. Right? No lying. And so Tiffany says, oh, that's perfect. I went, no, I actually like this. And then I gave it to her. I said, no, use it for the altar, but give it back to me when you're done. And then I was like, no, you really should keep it. And she goes, no, it's really yours. And I'm like, oh my God, this is such a lesson in life. Just be willing to give something away freely. Notice I have it. But the funny part is, I knew I wanted to talk about it today, but I forgot to tell her. So she got here and I went, how far away do you live? And she goes, like 10 minutes. I said, oh, could you get someone to bring me that rock? So this will go back to Tiffany because I ended up giving it to her. Yes. So that's that car. So then comes when we pick our kites. Now, Nancy has bought like 30 kites. Oh, you're sitting on the tail. So I pull out, oh, here. Oh, that's how to put it together. I'm not putting it together today. So we pull together. I get this kite handed to me. And, oh, wait, this isn't the right kite. And it's me. No, this is the wrong kite. I ended up with the wrong kite. So anyway, it's a kite. I open it up, and it's Cars. That movie Cars, right? You'll see it because I flew with the cars. And I'm like, what the hell is going on with this retreat? What am I supposed to be told? What am I being told about all of these cars? And I'm like, okay, it's about movement. It's about being free to just go and explore and do. And I was like, okay, that'll work. It's about, and then I realized, and I was like, oh my God, all week I've been annoyed that this woman hit my car in Ralph's parking lot. And that she pulled off of the Ventura Boulevard up the ramp as I was turning into a parking spot and hit the side of my car, then got out and screamed that I hit her. At which point I said, okay, the side of my car hit the front of your car. Right, Jeffrey? I don't even need a lawyer for that one. So, it's all working out and all, but my car's been taking a really long time to get fixed. I mean, it was a dent. And then I found out they had paperwork, so it's still not done. I still don't have my car. So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, of course I got 3 cars to go. Get over yourself, Blanche. Things happen, just move on. You've got a gorgeous car out there that they gave you for free. Free, I pay insurance. Your insurance is paying for it. So I got it, and it was like, oh my God, it took 3 cars, a taxi, a rock, and a kite. to finally get me to just go, whatever. Because how many more cars am I going to have to pick up to figure this out? So we do our kite. So I'm going to give you a little, this is called the metaphysics of kite flying. So the first thing is discernment, choosing a kite, picking a kite. Now, yesterday, I will say that I was looking at the kites and trying to pick one that I liked. I didn't know the one I had cars on it because the front looked like something else. But it's discernment. So we talked about flying a kite yesterday at the way we talk about our lives. And it was like flying a kite was a metaphor for how we live our life. So the first thing is discernment. Picking out, deciding, choosing, focusing on what do you want your life to look like? What kind of kite do you want to fly? That was number one. Second was the assembly. It was so much fun. It's like, how many practitioners does it take to put a kite together? There are sticks panning out. I remember looking at one point, I forget who it was, I won't out you, but they were literally standing there with 2 rods and a kite on the ground going, I don't see it. And I heard someone say, you put them into the kite and it opens the kite up. And I say, oh, where? And now I'd already figured mine out, of course. You know, I've flown kites many times. But just watching, I stood back and I loved watching all these people. And then, best part, there were 2 holes to tie your kite on. And I must say, I picked the wrong one. And then someone said, well, no, the higher hole takes you to a higher level. I was like, oh, let me do that. And I got it. I was like, you can choose to live in the relative world, or you can choose to live in the level of Christ consciousness. Your choice, what are you going to tie your consciousness onto? Once you are told which hole to tie your consciousness onto, why do we sometimes still choose the lower one? Why? Because we want to have a hard time of it? Because we want to struggle getting our kite up into the air? Once you know, you need to go where you're supposed to go. So then, it was Reverend Nancy. So let me do this next slide. There's Reverend Nancy with her kite. And Reverend Nancy turned to me at one point and said, I figured it out. I am the kite. And I was like, well, that's oneness. It's what we teach. We're everything. So this is Nancy talking to her kite, probably doing a treatment for her kite. And I just caught this picture. I was like, oh my God, look at her there. She's just like, she is one with the kite. And we really got it. And then Suzanne Benoit, the next picture, is running down the beach. One with holding onto her kite, one with her kite. So what we came to realize was you can't control the outcome of where your kite's going to go. You can't really control where it's going to go, but you can direct where you want it to go. Because think about that. If you're one with the kite, you are holding the rope. The rope is part of the kite. You are letting as much rope out as you choose, meaning you're letting as much of your wisdom out as you choose as you walk through this life. And you're letting this kite go into the divine currents of life. You're letting the kite go up into the winds, and the winds will take it where it wants to go. Now, don't we teach surrender? That's what this whole month has been about. Surrender to the circuits of life. Surrender to the winds of life. Surrender to where life wants to take you. But don't let go of the rope. You are directing it regardless of how much you surrender to where life wants to take you. You still have to decide where you're putting it. And your feet, this is the best part, your feet have to move. Because if you stand still, the kite will come down. You must keep moving as you're letting it out. And then Brad Blaisdell, God love him, Brad Kiefer said, probably through Brad Blaisdell, who he was channeling, he said, I said, and I'll show you later how great he did. There was a point, though, where he said, well, I actually know that if I walk any further this way, the rocks stop the current, and therefore my kite's going to come down. So I'm staying out here, and I just go back and forth, and it keeps going. And I was like, of course. How often, even though we know these things are going to block our good, even though we know these things are not good for us and will stop the flow of our life, how often do we keep using them? Keep maintaining them. How many habits, how many addictions, how many things in our lives that we know are not good for us do we continue to walk towards, embrace, and then watch our kite just flop to the ground? And if I am one with this kite, then that's all my consciousness just dropping to the ground because I've decided to ignore this huge frigging rock here that's just going to stop everything from moving my life forward. This is the kind of kite flying you do as a religious scientist. So you can't control the outcome, but you can direct where you want it to go. So here is a beautiful example of that. Karen Oxrider. I want you to notice her finger pointing up. And I want you to see where the kite is. But I also want you to see the sweetness in her face. She's not really interested or concerned that her kite is not up there yet. First of all, it's Woody from Toy Story, so we know he's going to fly, although you might have done better with Buzz Lightyear. But she is literally, the kite is here and she's going up, up, right? So she is directing the kite, and her one foot is off the ground, so I think I caught her just as she was about to move, and I'm sure the kite went up. Because it normally would go up the minute you went like this with Jamie Klein. Now, where are you, Eric Bork? So, Eric Bork is in the back, and I thought he's going to kill me for putting this up there. Jamie's flying a kite, and you're looking at yours. But I have a really good picture of yours way up in the sky. So, but Jamie, he was one of the ones talking through this whole thing, Reverend Jamie, about where are you, Jamie? You're back there. About how a kite, and when Brad was the last man standing, he let his kite was soaring, and we were all done. And it was the last kite standing, and Jamie Klein came at it with a pair of scissors. And as he walked towards the kite, because I was standing there doing a Facebook Live moment with Brad, he came through. I said, here comes race consciousness. Race consciousness can come in and cut that kite out so quick. You know what race consciousness is, right? It's what your mother-in-law told you, or your father-in-law, or your sister, or your best friend. It's what all these people tell you, good intentions, but about how it really is, which is not your business. Your business is to get in touch with the winds of the divine, to get in touch with those circuits that just take you and you fly, and not listen to what anybody else is telling you. So he came along with the scissors, and obviously he wasn't going to cut it down. So Tiffany Mellon, when we were all sharing on what the kite thing was like, this was Tiffany's quote, and I did okay this with her, because I had to make sure she was okay that I outed her for this line. She said, "I fly a kite the same way I live my life. I hold it tight, trying to control it. And then when it doesn't do what I want it to do, I yell at it." And this is Tiffany. There she is in the front. But her kite must be doing well because we can't see it. But what I loved about that is, first of all, she said she held it tight, meaning she didn't let it out. She was like, I'm going to keep it right here. I'll know exactly where it's going, right? How often do you do that? How often do you refuse to surrender to what you may not know? You don't know what the winds are going to do. So you kind of keep it close, fearfully. And you can run with a kite. Did you ever see a little kid trying to fly a kite like that? And it's like right there, and he's like running all over. And it's like the father has to come in and go, no, let the string out. Be okay. Have faith. Know that if you allow the string out, it will go higher and higher and higher. Yelling at it doesn't work. Have you ever tried yelling at inanimate objects? How many of you have ever yelled at an inanimate object? Yeah. It doesn't help. It really does. It maybe let you get some steam off, right? But it's not, the kite doesn't care. The kite is just standing there going, whatever. So that was one of my favorite quotes. So there was a movie called The Kite Flyer. The Kite Runner. I knew you'd know it. And it took place in Afghanistan and Pakistan. And they take their kite flying very seriously. And there's an expression in professional kite flying, and it's this: kai puche. Kai puche. I have cut you down. Kai Puche. So, and that can be race consciousness or anything that wants to hold you back. You know, there is an energy around. There are people, and there's a type of consciousness that doesn't feel good when other people succeed. They get jealous. They don't want you to move ahead because it reminds them they're not. And I have watched people hold back. In fact, someone in our kite flying things found something and said, you know what, I just realized my instinct is always to give whatever I get away because I don't know why. And part of that is because you don't want to be the person who has everything and people don't. And I say, no, be the person who has everything and then share. Don't be afraid to have money. Don't be afraid to have wild, vibrant success. Just know that when you have all of that, it's about sharing. It's about giving it back. It's not just about getting, it's about receiving and giving. So for me, I want more money, more success, more of everything there is to have because I want to share it with everyone. That's how I want to live my life. So this whole idea of I'm just going to hold back, what's the point? So this Kai Puche. So my kite was probably the highest kite at one point, although not as high as yours, how it eventually got to. Not that I am an overachiever or competitive. But my kite was really high, and then the beautiful, sensitive, beautiful, sweet Reverend Nancy came running by my kite, and it cut it from the sky. And I suddenly remembered that moment in the kite runner, and I was like, how dare you? And I just watched my little kite just like, Nancy didn't even notice. I was like, Nancy, and she's like, what? And she's just running with her kite. And so my kite is now on the ground, and I got a great lesson. I could turn around and walk away and be pissed off, or I could just pick up where it fell, wherever it got cut, tie it to my thing, and start over. And that's exactly what I did. I just stayed pleasant, and I knew that I'd get Nancy back later. And I went and grabbed, and I did. And I got the kite, and I started over. But how often do you let those moments where you fail stop you? And not just surrender to whatever happened, knowing you're always at your highest and best no matter what. Writers, I think about that. People who write. Writing is rewriting. And I know so many writers, they write something, if people don't like it, that's that. It's like, no, write it again, write it again, write it again. Who cares? And if you like it, don't write it again. Just keep going. Look at Rocky. Look at Sylvester Stallone. How many 32, 36, something in the 30s, companies turned him down. He just kept going. That just means no here. It doesn't mean no. That just means you're a no. It doesn't mean this is a no. It's a consciousness. And if we can surrender to understanding that's how we can live our lives are going to be much better. So surrendering to the currents. Thomas Troward said, Ralph Waldo Emerson said, let us take our bloated nothingness out of the path of the divine circuits. So give me that next picture. So when you look at the divine circuits, no kite is going in the exact same direction or looks the same. The divine currents, they're not here to take you into some, mold that you all become the same. No. The divine currents are there for James to use, for Marilee to use, for Kelly to use, and it becomes an individual experience. So trying to do it like other people, trying to be like other people, I would surrender all of your ideology that tells you have to be something. Because if you get in touch with who you really are, when you know who you are, and you go be it, you're going to look like no one else in the universe. And that's when things happen. So it was an amazing, amazing day. So not the last one, but could you do this next one? This is Brad at the end of the day with his kite. And what he said was, which I found really wonderful, he said it as a joke, but it's true. I went off to him and I was like, my God, yours is so high. And that's when he told me I'm not going near the rocks. He figured it out. And then he said, no, the only difference in my kite and everybody else's kite is I didn't give up. I kept going. And not that we all gave up. Mine was equally as high. But Not that we all gave up, but we were done, but he wasn't going to finish. He wasn't going to be done until he got what he wanted out of it. How often do we give up just when it's about to happen? Just when that gust of wind is about to come and take your kite, your life, to the highest place it's ever been, we say, it's been too much trouble. I'm going to walk away, put it down. Or how often do we even say, you know what, it's flying a kite. I'm not interested. And go sit down while everyone else is just having the most glorious time because we don't even know what's inside us to explore because we're so used to saying no, we don't know to just say yes. Did you ever hear that experiment where for 24 hours you have to say yes to everything? It's exhausting. And it's a little scary too. You got to be careful who you go near. But thank you, Randy. The yes is so important, the yes to life. So, I want to read you this quote. A kite cannot fly if it has burrs attached to its tail. It must let go even of the hand that holds it aloft to catch the passing breeze. Finally, it must let go of everything and everyone, even of Mother Earth and gravity, to soar into the great unknown. Free to go where the wind of life takes it, it moves with grace and a willingness to surrender its entire life and being to the direction of each new moment. You are one with the kite. You are the kite. And those words were written by Reverend Nancy. When she read that to me, it so touched my heart. That's when I said, we should all, you know what? We've done the labyrinth for 3 years. Let's not do a labyrinth. Let's fly kites, which I'm sure is what she had in mind when she read me her quote. When's the last time you flew a kite? When's the last time you were willing to have fun? Thomas Troward said our only purpose in life is to have fun, is to enjoy life. When was the last time you gave over to your childlike wonder? When was the last time you stopped, you surrendered all of your yeah buts, all of your stuff that doesn't work, all of your problems, and just went and flew a kite to see what might come up? I didn't know what would come up yesterday, but boy, so much came up. And I have a little video for you to watch here. I think. Oh, sure. Mike, do you have it? Oh, no. Yeah, we tested it. Go back. Try it again. Yep, hit it.
Oh my God, look
Well,
at how that looks.
oh, wait, I'm hearing it.
Yay! Oh my God, look at how beautiful that looks.
Okay, well,
Yay!
that's unfortunate, but here's what you would have seen. You would have seen 26 practitioners all lined up at the end of the beach with the rocks way far away. I said go, and you would have seen everyone running and all the kites rising at the same time with everybody screaming. It's an amazing video to show you that when collective consciousness can come together as one, like we do here every Sunday, and literally throw caution to the wind and allow life to take us on its journey, we can be like a room full of screaming kids, just letting life be what life is. That's what this month has all been about. So as I close this month out of surrender, what I see before me is just a room full of little kids with their kites high in the air, having the most amazing life, and remembering that they are not just one with the kite, but they are allowing all that they are to take them on this magnificent journey. Namaste.